Did you know that two everyday habits, smoking and drinking, could silently set the stage for colon cancer, especially as we age? It's true. These aren't rare or exotic risks. They're choices many people make daily, often without realizing how powerfully they shape the future of their health. Now, when most people think of colon cancer prevention, they think of screening colonoscopies, or maybe eating more fiber. And those are important. But what often gets overlooked is how strongly smoking and alcohol, the habits many of us don't associate directly with colon health, can drive the risk higher. Here's the good news. Smoking and drinking are what we call modifiable risk factors. Unlike your genetics, which you can't change, or your age, which keeps moving forward, these are choices. That means awareness and action can directly reduce your risk. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. I'll walk you through the science behind how smoking and alcohol affect the colon, why older adults are especially vulnerable, the real-life stories of patients who made changes, and the practical steps you can take starting today to protect yourself. This isn't about scare tactics. It's about understanding the risks, seeing the evidence clearly, and then using that knowledge to take back control of your health. So, if you or someone you love has ever wondered how much smoking or drinking really matters when it comes to colon cancer, stay with me. You might be surprised at how much power you already have to change the outcome. When we talk about colon cancer, one fact immediately stands out. The risk rises sharply with age. After age 50, the numbers climb steeply. By the time people reach 65 and beyond, colon cancer becomes one of the most pressing cancer concerns they face. In the United States alone, more than 100,000 new cases of colon cancer are diagnosed every year. And while screening has helped us catch many cases earlier, the burden is still high, especially among older adults. But here's something that might surprise you. While most cases occur in people over 65, we're also seeing an unsettling trend. Rates are actually rising in younger adults, even those in their 30s and 40s. Researchers are still working to understand exactly why, but lifestyle factors, diet, alcohol, smoking, obesity, are all part of the picture. So why are older adults especially vulnerable? It comes down to two things. First, cumulative exposure. If someone has been smoking or drinking for decades, their cells have been repeatedly exposed to carcinogens over time. That damage adds up. Second, aging cells simply don't repair themselves as well as younger ones. The body's defenses weaken and abnormal cells have a better chance of surviving, growing, and eventually becoming cancer. And the most difficult part? Colon cancer often develops silently. In its early stages, there may be no symptoms at all, no pain, no obvious warning sign, which means by the time blood appears in the stool or weight loss or fatigue set in, the disease may already be advanced. That's why prevention and awareness are so powerful, because if we wait until symptoms show up, we're often playing catch up. But by addressing the risks earlier, especially the ones we can control, we shift the odds dramatically in our favor. So let's turn now to two of the biggest and most overlooked contributors. Smoking and alcohol. These everyday habits don't just harm the lungs or the liver, they reach all the way to the colon, and understanding that connection is the next step toward real prevention. When most people think about smoking, they think about the lungs, lung cancer, emphysema, chronic bronchitis. But the truth is, smoking doesn't stop at the lungs. The chemicals in cigarette smoke spread through your entire body, including your digestive tract. Here's how it works. Every puff of smoke contains thousands of chemicals, dozens of them proven carcinogens. These substances don't just stay in your lungs. They pass into the bloodstream, circulate throughout the body, and eventually reach the colon. They also mix with saliva and are swallowed, meaning the digestive system gets direct exposure as well. Over time, these toxins damage the DNA of colon cells. They create chronic inflammation, weaken the immune defenses, and slow down the body's ability to repair itself. And when repair fails, that's when abnormal cells, precancerous or cancerous, begin to grow. The evidence is strong. Large studies have shown that people who smoke have an 18 to 20% higher risk of colorectal cancer compared to non-smokers. That's not just a number. It means thousands of extra cases each year directly tied to tobacco use. But it doesn't stop there. Smoking is also linked to worse outcomes in patients who already have colon cancer. Smokers tend to have lower survival rates, higher recurrence after surgery, and more complications with treatment. In other words, smoking doesn't just raise your risk of developing colon cancer, it makes the disease harder to beat if it does occur. And here's where the cumulative effect comes in. If you smoke for 1 year, your body takes some damage. But if you smoke for 10, 20, 40 years, the exposure multiplies. Decades of toxins build up in the tissues, leaving the colon weaker and more vulnerable. Think of it this way. Imagine your colon lining as a protective shield. Now, imagine exposing that shield every single day to a chemical cocktail. Not once, not twice, but thousands of times a year. Over time, the shield weakens, cracks form, and eventually cancer cells can slip through. The good news is that it's never too late to quit. Even people who stop smoking later in life see benefits, lower risks, better healing, stronger outcomes if they ever face cancer. We'll come back to prevention soon, but for now, it's important to understand this. Smoking is not just a lung issue, it's a colon issue too, and if smoking can harm the colon this much, what about alcohol? Let's take a closer look. If smoking can silently damage your colon, alcohol is another major culprit that often flies under the radar. Many people think moderate drinking is harmless, but the science tells a different story. Here's what happens. When you drink alcohol, your body metabolizes it into a chemical called acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is a potent carcinogen. It damages DNA, interferes with normal cell repair, and can trigger mutations that lead to cancer. But that's not all. Alcohol also promotes chronic inflammation in the digestive tract. Inflammation is like a constant irritation to your colon lining, making it easier for abnormal cells to grow. At the same time, alcohol can disrupt the gut microbiome, changing the balance of bacteria in your intestines. A healthy microbiome is protective, but alcohol can tip the scales toward a more harmful environment. The numbers are striking. Heavy drinking has been linked to a 44% higher risk of colorectal cancer compared to non-drinkers. And it's not just about binge drinking. Even moderate intake, say 2 standard drinks a day, can still increase your risk. It doesn't matter if it's beer, wine, or spirits. The risk appears consistent across all forms of alcohol. So swapping one type for another isn't enough. The key factor is the ethanol itself. Here's another important point. When alcohol and smoking are combined, the risk doesn't just add up, it multiplies. People who both smoke and drink heavily face a significantly higher chance of developing colorectal cancer than people exposed to either habit alone. It's a dangerous synergy that many people underestimate. So, whether it's a glass of wine with dinner or a nightly beer, it's worth being mindful of the cumulative effect over the years. Your colon is not just absorbing food. It's absorbing habits, and habits like drinking and smoking can quietly increase the risk of serious disease. Next, we'll explore why older adults are particularly vulnerable to these risks, and why age makes it even more critical to pay attention to lifestyle choices. As we get older, our bodies change in ways that make us more vulnerable to diseases like colon cancer. Cells don't repair themselves as efficiently as they once did. DNA damage accumulates over time, and our natural ability to fix mistakes in our cells declines. At the same time, our immune system gradually weakens, making it harder to detect and eliminate abnormal cells before they turn cancerous. Metabolism also slows down, which affects how our bodies process toxins, including those from smoking and alcohol. Now, consider cumulative exposure. A single cigarette or a glass of wine might not make a noticeable difference in a day, a week, or even a month, but decades of repeated exposure add up. Every cigarette smoked, every drink consumed, every year of these habits compounds the damage in your colon. By the time someone reaches their 60s, 70s, or 80s, their colon lining has been exposed to thousands, if not tens of thousands, of potentially harmful chemicals. Older adults are also more likely to have other chronic health conditions that amplify cancer risk. Conditions like diabetes, obesity, and hypertension don't just impact your heart or your blood sugar, they influence the environment inside your body. Chronic inflammation, metabolic changes, and hormonal imbalances make it easier for abnormal cells to grow and harder for the body to fight them off. Here's a practical way to think about it. The same habits that were risky at 40 become far more dangerous at 70. Imagine the difference between dropping a pebble on soft soil versus hardened concrete. Early exposure might cause minor damage, but repeated stress over time on a weaker system can create serious problems. The key takeaway is that age magnifies the effects of lifestyle choices. Smoking and drinking don't suddenly become more toxic as we age. It's our body's declining resilience combined with decades of cumulative exposure that increases risk. But the encouraging news is that it's never too late to take action. Quitting smoking, reducing alcohol, improving your diet, and staying active can still make a meaningful difference, sometimes even reversing years of risk accumulation. As we move forward in this video, we'll explore practical prevention strategies, simple, achievable steps that can protect your colon even in your later years. By understanding why older adults are at higher risk, you can see why these steps are so critical and how small changes can have a big impact over time. Now that we understand the risks, let's focus on prevention. The good news is, even later in life, there are concrete steps you can take to reduce your risk of colon cancer, and many of them are within your control. Step 1. Quit smoking. It's never too late. Even if you've been a smoker for decades, stopping can start to reduce your risk within just a few years. The body begins to repair itself, inflammation decreases, and your colon cells gradually regain resilience. Think of it as giving your colon a chance to heal and defend itself, year by year. Step 2. Cut down or eliminate alcohol. Every drink contributes to inflammation and cellular stress. Reducing alcohol intake, or ideally stopping altogether, can significantly lower your risk. And remember, even moderate drinking, such as 2 drinks daily, still carries risk. By eliminating or limiting alcohol, you reduce exposure to acetaldehyde, decrease inflammation, and help your gut microbiome return to a healthier balance. Step 3. A protective diet. A diet rich in fiber, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains provides multiple layers of defense. Fiber helps move toxins through your colon more quickly, supports healthy gut bacteria, and can even produce anti-inflammatory compounds in the digestive tract. Fruits and vegetables supply antioxidants that help repair DNA and neutralize harmful substances. Whole grains provide steady energy, additional fiber, and nutrients that support overall health. Step 4. Exercise and weight control. Maintaining a healthy weight and staying physically active isn't just good for your heart or joints, it also reduces colon cancer risk. Regular movement helps digestion, reduces inflammation, and keeps insulin and hormone levels balanced, all of which protect your colon over the long term. Step 5. Regular screening. Lifestyle changes are powerful, but they don't replace screening. Colonoscopy and stool-based tests are still essential. They allow early detection of polyps or precancerous changes before they become cancer. When paired with healthy habits, screening is your strongest defense. The key is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start with achievable steps. Quit smoking, reduce alcohol, add an extra serving of vegetables, go for a daily walk. Over time, these small changes compound, creating a robust shield against colon cancer. Remember, prevention is a combination of lifestyle choices and medical vigilance. By taking control today, you're actively protecting your colon, and your future self will thank you. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to step back and look at the bigger picture. Colon cancer is one of the most common and deadly cancers in the United States. But here's the truth, it's also one of the most preventable. We've talked about how smoking and alcohol, 2 everyday habits, can quietly and powerfully shape your risk over time. The toxins, the inflammation, the DNA damage, they add up year after year. But the encouraging news is you have the power to stop that process. Your choices today can change your future. If you smoke, consider making this the week you take the first step toward quitting. Whether that's talking to your doctor, trying nicotine replacement, or simply cutting down. Every cigarette you skip is a step toward healing. If alcohol has been a daily habit, try setting a goal to reduce it. Maybe go alcohol-free a few days each week. You'll not only support your colon health, but also your liver, brain, and heart. And don't forget the other pillars of prevention: a high-fiber diet, regular exercise, and screening tests like colonoscopy or stool tests. Together, lifestyle and screening form the strongest defense we have. I want you to remember this. Prevention isn't about perfection, it's about direction. Every positive change, no matter how small, moves you toward better health. So I invite you, try one step this week. Cut back on drinks. Take the first step to quit smoking. Add an apple and a handful of beans to your lunch. Your colon, your heart, your future self. They'll thank you. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of your health, stay informed, and remember, every choice you make is a step toward protecting your future.